points to end above 73,700. Strong show from broader markets continue. Both mid and small caps surge over 2% each. All sectoral indices rally. Metal jumps the most on optimism from China stimulus. Media index follows with gains of 3%. Meanwhile, IT, PSU banks, realty, oil and gas all jump over 2% each. Rupee strengthens by 33 paise to 86.94 levels. The strength comes amid broad weakening of the US dollar and easing crude oil prices. Goldman Sachs maintains buy on SBI cards with a target price of 912 rupees. The management expects credit costs and portfolio quality to improve in the coming quarters, thereby increasing margins. SBI cards market share seems to be stabilizing too. Profitability is expected to see some respite next year. Another stock in focus is Coforge. The shares rallied 10% today as the IT company signs its largest deal ever. It signed a $1.6 billion deal for product delivery and AI solutions with US-based travel technology firm Sabri Technologies. Most global brokerages look extremely positive, expecting the deal to boost the company's incremental value and improve growth outlook. One of the largest beneficiaries of China's stimulus measures is the metal space. The index shines today. The stocks gaining are Hindustan Copper, Welspun Corp, Jindal Stainless, Tata Steel. One of the reasons is that China is the world's largest consumer of base metals. Remember, base metals is a key influencer of global demand. Indian companies have struggled with weak pricing due to low Chinese demand. JP Morgan upgrades weightage on M&M Finance to overweight. Now, this comes on the back of improving rural economy. Diversification of business is expected to help disbursements. Credit costs are projected to rise by FY26. However, rights issue remains a key pain point. The stock of Bombay Stock Exchange cracks over 9% after the National Stock Exchange shifted the monthly and quarterly expiry days of futures and options contracts of Nifty, Bank Nifty, Fin Nifty, Nifty Midcap Select and Nifty Next 50 to the last Monday of the expiry month. Goldman Sachs lowers target multiples on pharma sector. The target lowered by up to 12% is done to factor in lower visibility from US exposure. Goldman lists some investable buy themes, targets Torrent Pharma as a company that has secular domestic stories with low tariff risk. Along with it, Goldman is bullish on Syngene Newland. Now, these companies are CRDMO plays for structural shifts in global research and development. Granules is in focus today as US FDA makes warning letter public. The letter was issued on February 26th. It highlighted problems with data integrity, quality and contamination. Analysts do not expect a faster clearance anytime soon. The Reserve Bank conveys its discomfort with non-bank lenders who offer perpetual lines of credit to customers. According to people who spoke with NDTV Profit, the regulator has raised issue with products where customers have the ability to dip into credit lines without fixed repayment schedules. Now, a perpetual line of credit involves loan windows for borrowers where they can borrow as much as they like from the lender within a specified limit. Such borrowers can repay their dues in part or in full as and when they have the cash flow available to do it. They may also continue to pay interest dues for as long as they wish without the account becoming a non-performing asset. India's chemical sector sees price stability in February. Chemical prices were mostly flat month over month in February 2025. In addition to that, crude oil prices between $71 to $75 per barrel supported flat to positive trends. In fact, analysts believe the near-term chemical prices are expected to remain range-bound. Biocon receives final approval from US drug regulator for dasatinib and Revlimid. Now, both drugs treat cancer, while dasatinib has the potential to make 20 to 25 million in the first year for Biocon. Revlimid, on the other hand, could yield $50 to $70 million for the company. Adani Group stocks extend gains as the market picks up momentum. Adani Green leads the pack with over 8% gain. On the other hand, Adani Energy also rises nearly 7%. 7 out of 10 stocks increased more than 3%. In fact, the rise in Adani Group stocks add over 47,000 crore rupees in market cap. PSP Projects secures approval from the Competition Commission of India for the acquisition of up to 30.07% equity share capital by Adani Infra from one of its promoters. Now, this approval marks a significant step in the transaction, potentially impacting the company's ownership structure and influencing its strategic direction in the competitive infrastructure sector. Aurobindo Pharma's arm, Auto Vaccines Private terminates license agreement with Hillman Laboratories, Singapore. Now, the agreement, originally signed on September 27, 2023, was aimed at the development, manufacturing and commercialization of a pentavalent vaccine candidate used in children's vaccination. Lupin jumps on double upgrade from Citi. The stock is upgraded to buy from sell with a target of 22,260 from 1,900 rupees. Now, the company launches may sustain margin strength, whereas Lupin's base business margin expansion may sustain. Citi hails Lupin's non-US market business as well, that is showing good traction. Morgan Stanley maintains overweight stance on ONGC with a target of 416 rupees. The company acquires 100% stake in wind farm assets from PTC Energy. Morgan Stanley says the company complements earlier acquisition of 2 gigawatt of solar or wind asset platform. The acquisition comes when global oil majors are refocusing back on hydrocarbon production. UBS upgrades M&M to buy from neutral but cuts the target to 3,300 rupees from 3,460 rupees earlier. The upgrade comes amid outperformance expectations from the company's SUV segment. The SUV space may see high single-digit volume growth. Not just SUV, the farm equipment business may also perform well too. Now, UBS says M&M's share price correction is on the back of EV-related news flow, and that is an overreaction. Trend stock gains after the company's store count jumps. The company reports strong addition of Westside stores in Q4, clocking highest growth in at least the last 2 years. The company's website shows 240 stores for Westside compared with 238 stores as of December 2024. Zudio stores count stood at 672, implying 37 stores added in Q4. India's millionaire population rises 6% in 2024 as per a report by Knight Frank. Number of billionaires reach 191. High net worth individuals with assets over $10 million rose 6% last year. HNWIs are expected to rise to 93,753 by 2028, reflecting India's expanding wealth landscape. Massive fire broke out at Neogen Chemicals in Bharuch, Gujarat late last night. Now, the fire incident was reported around 12:03 a.m. on Wednesday, March 5, leading to a temporary suspension in production. Fire tenders were rushed to the spot to control the fire. Zydus Life launches and Wimo, an innovative treatment for hematopoietic stem cell transplant and kidney transplant patients. CMV infection remains one of the most serious complications in transplant patients. With the launch of Envimo, Zydus has successfully reduced the cost by an impressive 91%, making CMV significantly more affordable for Indian transplant recipients. Now, the company also assured that Envimo has established bioequivalence with the reference drug, ensuring the same high quality at a fraction of the cost. Boosted by improving domestic and international demand, new orders placed with Indian services companies rose at a faster rate during February. The uptick in growth underpinned a quicker expansion in output and a substantial increase in employment. Although firms noted that cost burdens rose further, the rate of inflation receded to a 4-month low. Meanwhile, the rate of increase in output prices was broadly similar to January and therefore remained above its long-run average. The seasonally adjusted HSBC India Services PMI Business Activity Index rose from January's 26-month low of 56.5 to 59.0 in February, indicating a sharp rate of expansion that was well above its long-run average. The HSBC India Composite Output Index also rose from 57.7 to 58.8 in the same duration, indicating a substantial rate of expansion. Federal Bank announces Vidya Balan as its first ever brand ambassador. Bank plans to expand marketing initiatives including TV ads and digital campaigns. Macquarie says India's return outlook shifts from egregious in October 2024 to now above par. The Brokerage notes that within India's top 500 stocks, at least 70% have experienced a pullback of 20%. The Nifty mid-100 segment's aggregate valuations remain high at near 30 times PE multiple, and earnings expectations still need to be reset at lower levels. Citi maintains sell on ICICI Lombard as lower growth expectations could affect capital gains. Tepid auto sales and continued competitive pressure in B2B businesses adds to their worry. Retail segments could witness the weight of competitive pressure. Limited ways to improve profitability may hurt investor sentiment. Jefferies maintains a buy on Varun Beverages. It says aggressive pricing led to the recent correction in the stock and calls the correction exaggerated. The brand is gaining strength against regional offerings. Valuation at 45 times one-year forward PE appears attractive. Strong summer serves as a key short-term trigger. HSBC maintains buy stance on Dhanuka Agritech. The brokerage firm cuts target to 1,550 rupees from 1,700 rupees earlier. HSBC says that the company's sales momentum remains muted, but the management expects a pickup in March. Higher import costs due to rupee depreciation drives the rationale behind the target cut. Tata Steel Europe Arm's underperformance drives the company's recent stock price movements against its peers. The company's Europe arm has high costs for maintaining and operating the company's operations. Now, these high costs are aging blast furnaces. Additionally, 2008 crisis slashed demand and prices tightened liquidity around the world. China has been dumping cheap steel in other countries. UK's exit from EU made exports costly, impacting demand. India may face AC shortage this summer over supply constraints. AC production is likely to be impacted in April due to compressor delays. The demand surge beyond expectations could lead to out-of-stock situations. Ongoing geopolitical tensions worsen supply chain issues, leading to demand surplus. Remember, India still imports roughly 40% of components from China. Chinese manufacturers are prioritizing shipments to the US ahead of expected tariff hikes. Major white goods companies may hike prices by 3 to 4% in April-May, raising AC costs by 1,500 to 2,000 rupees. The Commerce Ministry has a new member. Ajay Bhadu has been appointed as CEO of government's e-marketplace. He will assume this role in addition to his existing responsibilities in the Department of Commerce. This comes at a pivotal time as the platform transitions to a next-generation digital marketplace powered by Tata Consultancy Services. Currently, GEM has recorded a gross merchandise value of 4.58 lakh crore, reflecting a 28.65% year-on-year growth. Disney is planning to reduce headcount by roughly 6% of the total workforce of ABC News Group and Disney Entertainment Networks, as per Reuters. Now, this comes as the entertainment giant grapples with declining TV audience. The layoffs, which would affect less than 200 staff across both the units, are expected to be announced soon, with a majority of the impact on ABC News. Rescue operations in Telangana's Nagar Kurnool district enters day 12. 8 persons are trapped under the debris after a portion of the tunnel collapsed on February 22, 2025. The teams trying to trace the 8 people trapped inside faced a challenge in clearing slush debris, including metal, as the conveyor belt was dysfunctional. Now, the slush and debris pose a huge challenge to the rescue work. Millions of residents along Australia's eastern coast are preparing for the impact of the most southerly cyclone to threaten the region in more than 5 decades. Tropical cyclone Alfred, with strength the equivalent of a Category 1 Atlantic hurricane, is expected to cross the coast just south of the Queensland capital of Brisbane, home to 2.5 million people in the early hours of Friday, potentially at high tide, complicating the days ahead for emergency services. Chief Minister M.K. Stalin leads an all-party meet unifying Tamil Nadu parties against the delimitation exercise planned by the BJP. They believe that it is unjust and will reduce parliamentary representation of Tamil Nadu. The all-party meeting outlines certain demands. First, that the 2026 delimitation process be conducted on the 1971 census and continued for the next 30 years. Second, the number of parliamentary seats be increased, and third, that the necessary constitutional amendments be made. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar meets UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer during official visit. Now, their talks involved the progress of the free trade agreement between India and the UK. They also discussed taking forward bilateral economic cooperation and enhancing people-to-people exchanges. Farmers holds protest over alleged arrest of farmers against Punjab government at a golden temple. Now, farmers were also seen burning effigy of Punjab Chief Minister. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau accuses Trump of launching a trade war on Canada. Trudeau promises to bombard the US with retaliatory tariffs worth $100 billion. In a post on Truth Social, Trump spoke about increase in reciprocal tariffs, and angry Trudeau proclaims that Canada will never be the 51st American state. In his first address to Congress, US President Donald Trump lists out his priorities and first decisions. His highest priority is to rescue the American economy. To curb the inflation, he has called for permanent income tax cuts for all Americans. Now, he also plans on dramatically increasing the production and extraction of critical and rare earth minerals. These are essential for electronics, clean energy, technology, and some weapon system. He reiterates his stance on reciprocal tariffs, announcing that they will take effect on April 2nd. During his address, President Trump clarifies that India will not be exempted from the reciprocal tariffs. The US will now impose tariffs equivalent to those charged by other nations. India has been charging auto tariffs higher than 100%, he says, citing India as an example. Efforts to soften the impact are ongoing, with Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal's US trip, as well as India boosting US imports by slashing tariffs on a number of products. China ramps up stimulus to guard economy from unseen changes. The GDP growth target for 2025 is set at around 5%. This comes after Trump's decision to double tariffs on Chinese imports, aiming to boost domestic consumption. China implements 10% to 15% tariffs on certain agriculture imports from the US. South Africa and New Zealand go against each other in the second semi-final of the Champions Trophy 2025. Victory for either side will see them take India in the final on Sunday in Dubai. New Zealand won the toss and chose to bat. Considering their head-to-head stats, New Zealand have won 7 of the 11 games against South Africa. One of the greatest cricketers of his generation, Australia batter Steve Smith, has announced his retirement from ODI cricket after the team's elimination from ICC Champions Trophy on Tuesday. Smith has named the captain of the national team for the tournament after primary skipper Pat Cummins was ruled out due to an injury. Smith led his troops all the way to the semi-final of the tournament before his team was eliminated by Rohit Sharma-led India. Before IPL 2025 edition starts, BCCI decides to tighten noose for the players. Now, India's cricket board extend its recently imposed SOPs on the Indian team to the IPL franchises. In these SOPs, players are barred from bringing their families in the dressing rooms even on non-match days. It follows after the BCCI comes up with a set of rules that barred personal managers from travelling in the team bus. In the same note, BCCI mentions that the team will travel in 2 different batches. And with that, it's a wrap on Market Express, but do stay tuned to NDTV Profit for more news and updates.
Very warm welcome to you all for this NDTV Profit conclave, which is themed on Viksit Bharat.
A life which is both taking care of your material needs and taking care of your altruistic needs. That will be the true definition of Viksit Bharat.
In my view, we are already out of that slowdown.
For every unloam, you have to have vilom. You can't just keep doing up and up in the breathing also. You have to come down. So the correction and healthy correction is a very integral part of the market.
The private capital expenditure, from where I sit, I see that private capital expenditure is happening.
Any tariff coming on Indian goods will be passed on to American consumers and Indian companies will not be affected.
We feel fairly good about the fact that we can compete with various folks.
Actually, instead of Viksit Bharat, we should call it Re-Viksit Bharat.
Headlines you start your day with. What matters worldwide is now in the palm of your hands. Get ready to seize the day and maximize your financial potential. Stay ahead of the curve with all you need to know on NDTV Profit.
Very warm welcome to you all for this NDTV Profit conclave, which is themed on Viksit Bharat.
A life which is both taking care of your material needs and taking care of your altruistic needs. That will be the true definition of Viksit Bharat.
In my view, we are already out of that slowdown.
For every unloam, you have to have vilom. You can't just keep doing up and up in the breathing also. You have to come down. So the correction and healthy correction is a very integral part of the market.
The private capital expenditure, from where I sit, I see that private capital expenditure is happening.
Any tariff coming on Indian goods will be passed on to American consumers and Indian companies will not be affected.
We feel fairly good about the fact that we can compete